Welcome to Cardinal Coaches Corner. Our guest this week, and we're very honored to have her, is Maria Winn-Ratliff, our fourth-year Cardinal head softball coach here at the college. Maria's got 856 wins to her credit, 147 at the college. She's an NJCAA Legacy Award recipient this year. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
The Cardinals finished 10 in the final regular season NJCAA rankings. They were 48-10 on the season, 20-4 in conference play, and won the Region 14 conference title for a second straight year. Maria, we'll get to the business at hand, the upcoming regional tournament in a moment. But first, I wanted to mention that you picked up your 850th career win this season, and that you have a moment to talk about the road to get there and about the special people that have helped you along the way.
Whew, how much time do we have?
It's yours. You got 850 wins.
A lot of people have asked me about it, and I said, well, I'm a good scheduler. And that's the running joke, or I'm old. I just been blessed. Western Nebraska was a great place to start my career. Got an opportunity to win, I think, 400 there. Get to go to Tyler, and really had 3 great seasons there, and pick up, 5 and 6. And then my first year at La Tech, my first win, or my only year at La Tech, my first win is my 700th.
Wow.
And then I get to celebrate 800 here. So to be able to do those milestones at 4 different institutions with the players and, how those programs started and where we left them. A good friend of mine, Shelby Shelton, says all the time, leave it better than you found it. And so that's kind of how I want to do things. And,
sure.
We've had tremendous players, tremendous staff, like Kelsey Barnhart's on our staff right now, and she played for me, and she was part of a lot of those wins at Western Nebraska. Coach Segovia and I both got in the game at the same time. We met at a random camp and just instantaneously became friends. And so to have him, in my corner of every one of those wins and then getting to be a part of the last couple of years of being on staff, it's truly amazing. And it just shows the support from the administration at the institutions that I've worked at, and just, getting players to buy into who we are and what we're about. I don't know that our program's for everybody, and we do some things differently. This morning I'm out in the quad, and a couple of our kids are walking to the snow cones, and there's an event on campus, and I see them, they get a few steps, and then they stop, and then they turn around, and then they walk, and I go, what are y'all doing? And they go, Coach, the sidewalk doesn't go all the way to the snow cone machine. And that's one of the win-isms. We try not to walk on the grass. We're going to take a few extra steps to take the sidewalk if we can, because somebody worked really hard to plant that grass and make that grass look really nice. And so it's truly a blessing when we get young women in here that can buy into my craziness and understand that it's so much more than 850 wins. And there's a lot of losses that go with those 850 wins, but it's about being a good human. It's about, being a good teammate. It's about leaving your mark on the institution where you're at. I always tell them, no one's going to remember a lot of things about the softball part of your experience at the institutions you're at, but they're always going to remember how you made them feel, and they're going to remember the things that you did.
Right.
And, everybody wants to win championships. Everybody wants rings. Everybody wants plaques. A lot of those things collect dust, and we want to leave memories and a lasting legacy at the places that we are, that are going to sustain that dust. And so, that's what we try to do in everything. We want to just be more than bringing wins to wherever we're at. Wins are great. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to mislead anybody, and we hope that we're going to collect some more over the next couple weeks. But we don't want to define our program on the scoreboard. We want to define our program on the young ladies that come through here and graduate and move on and they're successful in life, because I get an opportunity to empower young women to be a better version of themselves, and hopefully they can do that in all facets of their life.
You touched on something there, and one of the things I've enjoyed through my many years and doing what I do and then doing previously at the Athens Review is hearing coaches come in here and talk about what a unique place this is. And I heard Greg at the banquet last week. He just won a national championship. Instead of talking about the national championship, he was talking about this place as it stands with its people and the support that you get. Talk about that for a moment, because you've like me, you've been around a while.
I've been to a few places. Athens America is different, and it's hard to try to explain the feeling that you get. And, we're recruiting young women. We're in Athens, Texas. This is our population. We're nestled in between Tyler and Dallas, all that good stuff. And we'll get some kids that are kind of like, and I'm like, just give us a chance. All I want you to do is give me 4 hours. Come to my campus and give me 4 hours of your time. And I think you're going to feel different about what you might have thought Athens, Texas was. And we get very few kids on our campus that don't commit to us. And sometimes we choose to go a different route too.
Right.
You know, I'm in a meeting this morning and it's like, okay, coach, so what's the plan for the next couple of days? And these people are coming and, what does it cost to get in? And, I said it at the banquet the other night, when you look up and Miss Rose and Mr. Jimmy are bringing your kids snacks in Bossier City, Louisiana, and in Houston, Texas at your regional tournaments, that says something about who we are. Our Friends of the Cardinal program, I had something similar at Western Nebraska, and it's one of the best opportunities for our student athletes to connect with our community, and not even our student athletes, our whole student body, to connect with our community and really understand what it means to be a part of Athens and Henderson County, and the way that your administration, the way that your instructors, I got tons of messages, over the last couple of days of people that, are employed here and even off our campus. It's not just about, the specialness of Trinity Valley Community College.
Mm-hmm.
It's the way that you get embraced from our Athens community and our entire county as well. And so it's really hard to describe.
Yeah.
And it's just a feeling that you get, and I don't think you can really understand it until you're here. And I was a foe for a few years, obviously,
Right.
and it's just different. And I could come over here and I could see it, but to be able to feel it, and to
Right.
be able to be in that moment in the way that it feels. And we change a game around. We're going to play Paris Wednesday. We move it to Tuesday, and maybe not at the start of the game. The stands were packed,
Yeah.
but by the second or third inning, you couldn't get a seat.
No.
And to be able to do that, I mean, we did it on a 24-hour notice,
Mm-hmm.
and for people to show up, and kudos to them too. I mean, they had a lot of people travel because that was a pivotal game,
Yep.
in the conference season, and so just the support that we get, it's remarkable, and it's really hard to try to describe to anybody that's not here and can really see it and feel it.
Yeah, and I know when the recruits are brought around to my office by the various sports or whatever, and I get to say hello to them, you try to express that to them, but until they experience it, it's just words to them, I think. And then when they get here, they don't want to leave.
Well, and I mean, when you're walking around campus and people know you by name, and I think that's a big part for parents. It's, hey, Coach Winn, how you doing? That was a big win. Well, not only do you know who I am, but you know what's going on in my sport.
Right.
And I don't always know who everybody is. I'm like, I'm pretty sure they work in that building. But, it's just exciting, and everybody buys into all sports. And I was talking this morning to an administrator, and I said, everybody wants everybody to win.
Mm-hmm.
Because when everybody wins, everybody truly wins.
Right.
And so, men's basketball won a national championship, but Coach Winn still feels she's a part of that national championship,
absolutely,
right?
sure.
When we win, we all win.
Right.
And I tell them, hey, I want a ring too, and they laugh at me. But, it's just an exciting time to be in the Valley. Everyone is excelling. I'm excited to get Coach Sanchez here. I know him a little bit, and to see what he's going to add on to, where the soccer program got elevated to.
Right.
Coach Patty and her staff, excited to add them to continue to build, what Coach Hayes, that legacy she left. And so, we're clicking on all cylinders, and, Dr. Morrison is very supportive. Our board is very supportive.
Right.
Eddie's, our athletic director is unbelievably supportive that, we want to do things right in how we go about our business. And I think that's what's the most important to me. I want to win, and I want us to be successful, but I also want us to be doing it the right way.
Sure. Well, we went 48-10 this year, and 20-4 in conference. We won a second straight conference title. But it hasn't all been a bed of roses. We had a little bit of a skid there at the end of the season, but we got it turned around. But what I'm interested in is, what did you learn about your team during that skid?
We went to Northeast and played really well in bad conditions. It was cold. It was windy. We were at a high school field. We were unsure if we were not going to play. We ended up getting the games in, and I felt like I always tell them when we do really cool things, like we went to Circle M and had crawfish, and they got to dance and do all this stuff. I said, when I treat you really well, usually something crazy happens. And I felt like from that point forward, there was about a 12 to 14 game period that we just weren't playing our best softball. We had a few injuries, some things like that we were navigating through, and we had some other players really step up. And if you look at the stat sheet for us, we're just really balanced.
Mm-hmm.
Alizé Fields for us came back with a vengeance this year.
Goodness gracious.
If you ask me, who on the team surprised me the most, her and Miranda. Both of them really took their exit meetings at the end of the year after their freshman year and invested in them, and have came back and invested in each other. K-Dub's K-Dub. Her numbers are very similar to what they were last year.
Right.
But I thought both of them, Sydney Murphy has came in as a freshman and she's played almost every position on the field and gave us great opportunities. I don't think Haley Jaime gets enough attention, that she hasn't had a start all year, but she's came in and gave us unbelievable innings.
Oh, she has.
Dominique Vargas has got hurt a couple times and battled through some injuries and adversity. So we go back to that lull we had. Winning is awesome and losing is never fun, but losing is learning. And I think we had to learn some things about ourselves. We got humbleized a little bit. We brought in a good McLennan team that, they were two great ball games. I don't know if the score really showed, maybe how well we did play. We had a couple, I said we got beat at our own game.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of did some things that we have done to be successful against us. The Paris series, we go up there and play probably two of our best games. They come down here, they play extremely well. Bringing a good LSU Eunice team that I think, we split them and Paris split, or Tyler split them, and I think Blinn got a win against them, and we were the only teams in the league that got wins against them.
Yeah, they were a scrappy little team. I was very impressed myself.
Coach Collins does a great job, and then a good Bossier team came over here, and we had to play well.
Yeah.
We played on that Saturday. One of the best things I probably ever did is we moved sophomore day to the middle of the year. And made it kind of a family weekend.
Right.
And so, it was our last home games. There wasn't a lot of emotion of we had already kind of went through that process.
Mm-hmm.
So we could just go play.
Sure.
We weren't, oh my gosh, it's my last time. It's, those things. I think there was some of that feeling, but it wasn't the same as if it was sophomore day.
Yeah, and timing would have been great either coming off the skid going right into sophomore day either. That would have been a poor timing situation.
Yeah. So, I don't know that, there was a time period there that we weren't playing our best softball, but I think we definitely played well on Saturday. We've got the momentum and the confidence that we're looking forward to getting into next Saturday. We're going to play a really good Alvin team. They had to play to get in.
Yeah.
They played on Sunday and they needed to win to get in. They had to win one to get in, and they found a way to do it. We've played them 3 times, and it's not going to be easy. When you get to this point of the season, it's never easy.
You mentioned your sophomores. I feel like you've had great sophomore leadership. Talk about those young ladies and what they meant to you personally and to the program.
Holy smokes. Jaden Burnham is just a remarkable young woman. I mean, she's caught so many innings for us, and we can look at her and know that, man, we really need to rest her, but she's just so valuable to have on the field. And she's going to go to UTSA, and she's going to be a rock star down there. Her offense has really exploded of late. Kiera Weinenhop, K-Dub, as everybody knows her. K-Dub's K-Dub.
She is.
There's not a kid that I've ever coached that loves softball more than her. And that's a blessing and a curse sometimes. And she's going to UT Tyler. She wants an opportunity to win a national championship, and she's going to be able to do that. Addison Wittram, the hometown hero. I think she's had some adversity this year.
Mm-hmm.
She just had such an amazing freshman year that there was so much pressure on her to try to
was off the
duplicate that.
charts.
Yeah, and she's had a great year. She's had a great year. It's just unfortunately not the number she put up last year, and so she's a special young woman. Obviously, her little sister who turned 10 on Sunday, and we got to go over and we call her Double Digit Drew now, is our bat girl. And so their family just being here locally and
well, you got to hang around long enough to coach her.
And I don't know what her best sport's going to be. She's just a heck of an athlete. You go to Molly Gilbert. Transferred in. She's from Waxahachie, so kind of local as well.
Mm-hmm.
Came in and just kind of took third base by storm. She's going to go to UT Tyler as well. She's just been a steady Eddie for us, and really come in and on her own and just continuing to get better and better. The best defensive outfielder I've ever had play for me, and I've had some really good ones in Mariah DeBose.
Oh, my gosh.
I think she's the best defensive outfielder in the country.
She's worth the price of admission just to watch her play this field.
Man, she's fun, and she's duplicated last year. She's put up a little bit more power numbers, I think. She doesn't have as many walks, but she's exciting. She's going to hit a double. She's going to hit a triple. I don't know. She might have broke our career triples.
Oh, wow.
If she didn't, she's real close to doing it. There's so many records that got broke this year that we'll announce at the end of the season because there's still opportunities to get rebroke. But we're going to miss her. You don't replace her. No. There's not a defensive player that you can replace with her. We're going to have really good ones coming in. I don't know that they're going to have the opportunity to make the catches she did. And then I mentioned Allie already. Wow. Dynamite, one of our host parents call her Dynamite.
It was so fitting she won the Unsung Hero Award for the entire athletic department the other night.
And I'm walking across campus today, and she doesn't know I'm standing there, and she turns a corner, and she's smiling before she can see me. I can see her, and she can't see me. And that's just her. That's her personality. You gravitate to her because of who she is. You got Miranda Pena that's done a great job for us in the circle. You got Allison Chuck Garcia, who that kid isn't in the stat sheet probably as much as she should, but all the things that she does, she was the first kid that got to cheer in a program that I coached. And she brought those to us when she came in at Christmas last year, and everybody kind of looked at her like, "Oh my gosh, what are you doing?" But she brings an energy level. She makes our pitchers so much better. She catches in the bullpen. Just works extremely hard. An effective pinch hitter for you too this year. Yeah, I mean, she's came in and got some key hits for us. You got Yanni Valdez, that's battled injuries the whole time she's been here, and she's kind of taken on a student manager role for us. Does a great job with our scorebook. She's going to go to UTSA and be a student manager as well. And all those kids are committed to go on and play. I didn't, unfortunately, I didn't announce where they were all going, and I don't think I missed anybody. If I did, I don't have a sheet in front of me, but I think that's all 10 of them. But yeah, I mean, they've broke so many records and left a legacy.
Probably the winningest sophomore class too. I mean,
they are. They are.
Gotta be.
And hopefully, that continues to get broken.
Sure.
Down the road, but just the things that they've done. The sophomore class, won a national championship for academics. That are returners. They've now won 2 conference titles back to back. There's just so many things that they've done, but all of those things that they've done on the softball field and in the academic field are awesome. But the things that they've done in our community, that's the separator. The community service projects, Easter, we ended up having Saturday, Sunday of Easter weekend off because of the weather, and not everybody had a chance to go home. And so we had some host families that invited multiple kids to their house, and the messages I got about just how wonderful they are, those are the things. Yesterday at the golf tournament, they're working a hole, and just the messages I received of just, what great young women they are. Those are the things that matter the most to me as a coach, because like I said before, we want to win as many games as we can. We want to win as many championships as we can. But at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we're helping send young women out into the world of whatever they're choosing to do and go and be better than when they got here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we want them to come back, and we want them to be impactful in this community. We want them to come back for alumni and homecoming, and, we don't want it to be you're here 2 years and then,
never seen again.
Yeah, it's once Cardinal, always a Cardinal, and we hope that, they're going to be able to come back to campus and talk about their experiences and spend time, with our current athletes at that time, because that's really what a tradition's about. And we want to build a special tradition that I'm not easy to play for. And anybody that's ever played for me is going to tell you that. The ones that liked me and the ones that disliked me. But at the end of the day, I want them to understand why we did what we did, and hope that, they learn those lessons. And usually 3 or 4 years I hear back from them, and it's like, Coach, I get it. Coach, that made sense. Now I know why you wanted us to be early. Now I know why you want us to look people in the eye and have a firm handshake and call people by their names and do the right things. I understand that now as a 25-year-old. I didn't understand it as an 18-year-old.
Sure.
And so, that's what's really important to us.
We mentioned you're going to the regional tournament in Bossier City, Louisiana this coming weekend. Play at 5 o'clock Saturday against Alvin in your first game. And you go in as the number 1 seed and the conference champion for a second straight year. Is this team more prepared to go forward with that, maybe more so than last year, or is it just last year a chance, just a happenstance?
I think we have more depth in some positions. We have some more experience in some positions. We didn't have a large sophomore class last year that had experienced some of those things, and so we're sophomore heavy for sure. And so you got to show up. I mean, that's the most important thing. But I like where we're at. I like the opportunities that we have. Sunday was our day off, and we went to a couple birthday parties and got to spend some time with our friends of the Cardinal in the community. Yesterday we did a community service project, and so we're rested in that part, and we're going to get back to work this afternoon and really put ourselves in position. We didn't know who we were going to play, so now we're going to be able to talk about Alvin again and put our game plan together. Haven't seen them 3 times. It's hard to beat a team 4 times. And so we really got to make sure that we've got a good game plan offensively to be able to, attack their pitchers. And then on the flip side of that, we got to put a good game plan together defensively to make sure that our pitchers, are in a good position to be able to attack their hitters as well.
Well, last question. If you look back to January and you're looking at this team, has this team exceeded your expectations or met your expectations?
Well, they're going to tell you they never meet my expectations of anything, right? I thought in the fall this team had a chance to be really, really special. I don't ever try to look at a schedule and think we're going to win this or this or this, because there's so much luck to it. You got to stay healthy. There's luck to it. There's, can you play on the road? Can you play at home? We've actually been better on the road than at home. Who are we going to get as umpires? As scary as that sounds, that sometimes can change some things, especially with my temperament and personality. I'm just really proud of them. I don't know if I can really answer your question, because I try to.
I get it.
My expectation for us is always to be the best version of ourselves,
sure.
Whatever that outcome is that outcome. But man, they're fun. And they're fun to watch. They're fun to be around. I know I want to be around them as long as possible, and that means we got to find a way to keep winning to be able to do that. And I think they've kind of that lull you talked about earlier. I think they've kind of figured that out too, that they want to be around each other a little longer than maybe they thought. And we just got to celebrate each other's successes and make sure that we're giving ourselves the best opportunity to be successful at the end of the game.
Right. Well, Maria, thanks for stopping by today. You're one of my favorite people to talk to, and if you probably have noticed, folks, we could probably go on and go on and go on, but we got a little time limit here. So we thank you for joining us on the Cardinal Coach's Corner. We're about ready to wrap it up with Eddie Cotter Athletic Director, and we'll get that to you in about a couple of weeks, most likely. But if you can't make it over to Bossier City, the games will be streamed, and we'll be posting all those links. Maria and I will on our social media accounts, so you'll be looking for that. But if you can, make it over to Bossier City, and there are other things to do in Bossier too when softball's not going on, if you're like me. So anyway, but thanks for joining us, folks, and go Cardinals.